Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this employment law session. Thank you for joining me. I'm Lior Samfiru. I'm the employment lawyer. That's what they call me. And I am here today to answer your questions live. Live is what I'm here to do right now. You're watching me or you're listening to me. I'm actually here. This is not AI. This is not something that was recorded weeks or months ago. I'm here live for you, with you, answering your questions. So again, my name is Lior Samfiru. I'm the employment lawyer. I'm one of the founding partners of Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. We practice law across Ontario, across BC, and across Alberta. So if you're in one of those provinces, if you want to know about your legal rights, if you want to know what to do if you're facing a workplace issue, man, have you come to the right place? Take advantage of me being here for the next 30 minutes for you, wanting to make sure that you know what to do if there's a workplace problem. What kind of problems can you face? Well, I mean, there's a lot of them, but maybe your boss did something and you want to know if that's legal. Maybe they made you a promise and they broke it. Is that legal? Can you do something about it? Maybe your job has changed, your hours have changed, reduced, your pay is not the same that it was. You were promised a promotion, didn't happen. You lost your job, you were put on a temporary layoff. I think you get the idea. If you're dealing with a workplace issue, this is the time, this is the place to get answers, to get solutions, and to understand what the law does for you. You've heard me say before that we have some amazing employment laws across Canada. In Canada, actually, we have some of the best employment laws in the world. Well, too many people don't know what those laws are, and they assume that the law doesn't help them. Well, by watching here, by getting me to answer your questions, you'll understand what the law does. You'll understand what your rights, what your options are. So don't be bashful. Let's make sure you get those questions answered. Now, before I start answering those questions, let me give you some ways to contact me if you want to. If you want to have a private chat about your matter beyond social media, if you want myself and my team to roll up our sleeves and get to work to help you to resolve your workplace problems, here's what you do. Very, very easy. Employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. You see that address on the screen right now below. You go there, you can see the phone numbers are there, the email addresses are there. It's all there to connect with me and my team. Don't be bashful, take advantage. But who cares about that right now? Right now I'm live. Let's make sure we answer questions. Questions are coming in. I'm going to start answering them. So please ask your question. There's a box on your screen. You type it in, you hit enter, and I'll see it, I'll read it, and I will answer it. So let's get going here. You have time, so ask your question. Okay. Let's see. Islam has our first question. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure I understand what he's saying. Must ask the terminated employee for a cause to sign the termination letter, or the letter is just to inform the employee and enough. I'm not sure what the question in there is. So let me proceed to the next question. Hello, I'm 68 years old. Work in a warehouse. I have developed a bad back. The doctor recommends a desk job. There are no desk jobs. If the employer cannot accommodate me, can I then get laid off and get severance? So here's how this works. Your employer obviously has an obligation to accommodate you. So if there's any possibility for them to find a job that meets your limitations, then they have to do that. Okay, it's not up to them. Even if it's difficult, they have to find a way to do it. Even if it's a very different job than what you were doing before, they have to make it happen. Now, if they've tried and they looked and there's just nothing available, they want to, but they just can't. There's nothing available to give you, then they don't have to accommodate. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they can let you go with severance. What it means is that you can be off work until either they have something available for you or your limitations change so that you can do a different job. So if you're not able to work right now and the company can't accommodate you, that doesn't mean that they let you go. That means you can go on a leave. You can get benefits from the government. If you have a disability plan through work, you can get benefits from that disability plan. But that doesn't mean you lose your job. It just means you're off work until something changes. Okay, either your limitations or the company's ability to accommodate. Hopefully that makes sense. If the company does anything to you, if they let you go, if they won't try hard enough to accommodate you, I want you to call me. Okay, call me as soon as possible. The law does not look favorably at all on an employer that doesn't do everything it can to accommodate. Remember, that duty to accommodate, a very serious duty. So you have to make sure. And sorry, that question that I just answered was from Ulrich Pribe. All right, great questions. Love those questions. Again, if you're just joining, my name is Lior Samfiru. I'm the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. I'm here live with you, for you, answering your questions. So more questions are coming in. I'm going to ask them or answer them. I'm not going to ask them. I'm going to answer them right now. Bob the Builder has our next question on YouTube. A substantial part of my compensation comes in as a discretionary bonus that has always been paid. We have a new boss that now wants part of our discretionary bonus to be dependent on us hitting numbers that we have never and seem out of reach. Can they do this because the bonus is discretionary? So that's a very good question, and here's the answer. If you've always received a bonus, strictly speaking, the company can decide, but you've always received it. If you've always received it, it becomes a part of your compensation. So you can rely on it, you can count on it, it always gets paid in a certain time, and you can always know what it is, you get it paid. So even though the company may have said it's discretionary, it becomes part of your compensation. And why is that important, Bob? Well, it's important is if the employer now decides to take it away or reduce it or make it unachievable, that's a change to the terms of employment. Now, depending on how much you're going to lose by this new bonus policy, that could be a constructive dismissal. You know, if it's a 1% as an example, reduction in pay, that's not enough to be a constructive dismissal. If it's a 15%, then it is enough to be a constructive dismissal. So the question ultimately becomes, how much are you losing of your income? If it's a significant loss, you may have the right to consider this change in the bonus policy as a constructive dismissal, because the effect is you're going to make less money. So yes, that could be a constructive dismissal. Constructive dismissal means you can consider this change as a termination of employment and get your severance. So Bob, the next step is to connect with me off social media. I want to understand more about the bonus, how much you get paid, why you feel you're not going to achieve bonus moving forward, etc. To connect with me, Bob, very easy to do. Just go to employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Great question here. You know what to do now. Connect with me, and you as well. See how easy it is to get answers to your question. I told them what the law says, what the options are, and what to do about it. So same with you. If you're dealing with a workplace issue, don't worry about it alone. Don't stress about it alone. Let me tell you what this all means. Let me tell you what you can do. All right, that's what I do for a living. Again, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer, live answering questions here. I'm just doing that right now. So let's make sure we get questions answered. You have plenty of time still. We just got started, so you have a lot of time. Let's see. Next question comes to us from Sir. Can I take my claim to an arbitrator instead of Supreme Court? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what claim. I don't know if you're part of a union. I don't know if it's been commenced. So I can't answer that because I have no idea what we're talking about here. All right, let's see. All right, next question comes from Rom. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. What if you make a lateral move within the same employer, just a different position? Same division, different section and location. Been employed a total of 9 years at agency. I'm not sure what you're asking there because there's really no question here. If you make a lateral move, so what is the concern that you're having here? So, Ram, you may want to ask a follow-up question because you haven't really asked me anything there. All right, let's see. Next question comes from Mark. My employer is asking us to pick up extra work because we are understaffed and not able to hire new employees. The work is outside of my regular position and we are not being given any additional compensation. If I accept this work and my employer later claim that it is part of my position, absolutely. So if your employer is giving you work that's outside of the scope, that's going to create a lot more work, more time without pay, that's not something they may be able to do. That could be a big change to the terms of employment. Therefore, of course, that could be a constructive dismissal. The problem with that, Mark, is if you kind of do it to be the good team player, after a while, it just becomes your job and then you're stuck with it forever. So here's what you can do. One of the options you have is to say to your employer, hey, employer, I understand you guys need some help. You're understaffed. I'm willing to help you. So I'm going to do this for the next 2 weeks, month, 2 months, whatever it is. I'm going to do it for that specific period of time. But after that, I expect to go back to my old job. By doing that, you haven't accepted that new responsibilities permanently, and you would still be able to say it's a constructive dismissal if the company doesn't want to take away those new responsibilities. Okay, so tell them in writing that you're only doing this for a certain period of time. So hopefully that makes sense, Mark. The problem always is, and this is for everyone, if your employer does something that they're not allowed to do, they demote you, they reduce your pay, they change your hours. They're not allowed to do that. But if they do that and you accept that, you continue working, then you're stuck. You've accepted it. And that becomes your new reality, your new terms of employment. So you have to be very careful with that. If your employer is doing something that they're not allowed to and you're not okay with it, you can't just continue working without doing anything, without saying anything, because then you're going to be stuck. So very important. If you're facing a significant change in the terms of employment, talk to me, okay? And talk to me quickly, because time is not on your side then. You have to act quickly. So hopefully that makes sense. Any issues, questions, problems, you know what to do. You can connect with me through employmentlawyer.ca. All right. Let's see. Bob, the builder, has a question. He has a follow-up on the employer changing the bonus. Is the announcement of this change enough to be considered a constructive dismissal, or do I have to wait until they tell me what the actual bonus will be? Yes, you do have to wait, because you're saying is, oh, I'm not going to achieve this bonus. But if you leave now, we actually don't know for a fact you wouldn't have achieved the bonus. They may have said, no, we would have given you all this extra work. You could have achieved it. So we actually need to see that it impacts your employment. Here's what you would need to do, though. You would want to send an email now, or once they announce the bonus, to your employer saying, employer, I am very concerned about this, because up until now, I always received this bonus, and now I'm very concerned that I'm not going to get this bonus. But I'm obviously going to do my best. But if I'm not going to, in fact, get the bonus, I'm going to want to talk to you about that at the end of the year. So make sure you put them on notice. I say put them on notice, but really what I mean, you send an email in writing, expressing the concern and making sure that you're not agreeing to this new bonus structure. You're going to simply see if it works out and then decide how you feel about it once you actually see how much money you get. So you want to do that now. Okay, the announcement itself is not enough. You actually have to be able to show the impact on your compensation. Hopefully that makes sense, Bob. Follow-up questions, ask them here, or of course you can connect with me off air through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Great questions, guys, today. Fantastic questions. A bunch more are coming. There's a lot of time still. We have almost 20 minutes, 17 minutes or so. Plenty of time for you to ask questions. Last week, 3 questions came in the moment I said goodbye, everyone. So don't let that happen. You have time. Get those questions asked so that I can answer them. You ask them now, I guarantee you'll get an answer. All right. And by the way, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin, and I am here answering your questions, like the next question on Facebook from Jeanette. Jeanette says, I work as a cook with 30 hours. That's been 10 years now. My supervisor reduced my hours from 30 hours to 21. I did not sign the letter, but still they reduced it to 21 hours. It's my 3rd week. I don't agree. There were 5 people I served before. Now it's only 3 people. It's not lawful. So here's what there's only 2 options. Either you accept it or you continue working, or you may be able to consider this reduction a constructive dismissal. That means you can leave and force your employer to pay you your severance. Now, you've been there for 10 years. You could be owed potentially as 8, 9, even 12 months of severance, okay? So it's a significant amount that you would be owed here potentially. If you want to do that, if you want to pursue a constructive dismissal, your window for doing that is closing. It's already been 3 weeks. If you continue working any longer, you're going to be considered to have accepted it. So if you want, Janet, to pursue a constructive dismissal, you want to connect with us in the office immediately, today, if you can, okay? And to connect with my team, go to employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. You see that address right there, right there. Don't quit, don't do anything without speaking to my team first, employmentlawyer.ca. So hopefully that makes sense, Janet. Follow-up questions, I'm right here. Ask them, don't be bashful. All right, next question from Sir. I'm not in a union and nothing is commenced. I've been wrongfully dismissed from a poisonous work environment. There has been bad faith and possible damages claim. Can I go to an arbitrator, not Supreme Court? Well, let's take a step back. You shouldn't be going anywhere. You should be retaining a lawyer to help you get what you're owed. Once you retain a lawyer, we can potentially not have to take any legal action. Maybe a letter from us does it, and we can then decide what the best course of action is. So no, you're asking the wrong question. It's like, if you have a medical issue, it's like you're asking the doctor, should I give surgery to myself with this tool or that tool? The answer is you shouldn't give surgery to yourself. You should have a doctor do that. Same thing here, sir. So you're asking the wrong question here. You need legal help if you lost your job. It's as simple as that. So if you want my help or my team's help, easy to do, employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. All right, great questions as always. Next question comes to us from James. James says, I work as a security supervisor. After 15 years, the site is shutting down. I have been informed that as of the end of April, I'll no longer have a job. I have not been offered severance. Am I owed one? Absolutely. So let's start by the fact that, again, I don't have your age and I don't know, I don't have your age and I don't know exactly what you're doing. You're a supervisor, but you could be owed as much as 18 months, 1/8 severance, 18-month severance. Now, here's something you need to understand. The amount of advance notice that you received, that you're losing your job, that counts towards your severance. So for example, let's say that you received 3 months notice that you're losing your job in April. If you receive 3 months, those 3 months count towards your severance. So if you're owed 18-month severance, now it's going to be 18 minus 3 months. If you receive 18 months notice of your losing your job, they may not owe you anything. So you're probably owed anywhere from 15 to 18 months less the amount of notice. So James, given the fact that April is just around the corner, you want to connect with me and my team right now to make sure we get you the severance. By the time you're done, we could hopefully get you that severance, get you that check in hand. So yes, you're absolutely owed severance, as much as 18 months pay. Next step, James, then is to connect with me and my team. Very, very easy to do. Just go to employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Now, I told James, or gave James an assessment as to how much severance he's owed. How can you find how much you're owed? How can you find out how much severance the law says you should be getting? By the way, hint, it's not what the company is offering you, okay? In 90% of cases, whatever the company is offering you is a lot less than what you're actually owed. So how do you find out the real amount? Easy. You grab your smartphone, your tablet, your desktop, doesn't matter, anything with internet, and you go to pocketemploymentlawyer.ca, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. There we have our severance calculator tool. You click on the severance calculator, and it allows you to find out to calculate how much severance you are owed. You answer a few questions, and it's going to spit out the answer. It's completely free. It's completely anonymous. It works so well. In Canada, over 2 million people have used it so far. I'm very proud of it. You make it the first place you go to if you lost your job and you want to know what you're owed, if you're worried about losing your job and you want to know how much you're owed, or maybe you're just curious or worried, want to understand what your rights are. Pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. Use the severance calculator, and it also gives you the option, if you want, and only if you want, to connect with me directly from that severance calculator. Okay, so again, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca for anyone that wants to understand what their severance rights are. And by the way, it's probably a lot more than what you realize and what you believe that it is. All right, continuing to answer questions. Guys, still have time. Let's make sure you don't leave here without getting answers. Please, please, please. I want to make sure all those questions are answered. Next question from TS Runner. I was recently let go from my position after 5 years. I was not offered severance, but have heard that the company will be adding 2 weeks' pay to my final paycheck. If I accept the money, does that mean I have agreed to accept this as my severance? Absolutely not. No. You can take the money, you can deposit it, you can use and spend the money. No, it doesn't mean you've accepted. It doesn't mean that you're barred from pursuing your entitlements. Now, if you've been let go from a position after 5 years, I don't know your age and I don't know exactly what you were doing, what your job was, but you could easily be owed 6 months severance, potentially 8 or 9 months, not weeks, months of severance. So if the company is saying we're going to add 2 weeks and you're owed 8 months, you understand we have a problem here. It's what we call a wrongful dismissal. A wrongful dismissal is simply a situation when you're let go and you're not paid your full severance. So no, don't worry. If they deposit the money, you can take it, not a problem, but you need to contact us so we can help you get your full entitlements. Easy to do, to connect with me and my team, employmentlawyer.ca. And often just a letter from my team or myself does it and gets it resolved. So in many cases, it's a simple, straightforward process to get what you're owed. All right, fantastic questions. Let's continue answering them. Bob the Builder has a follow-up question. Are severance, or I guess you were saying, is severance usually a one-time payment or regular pay for the period, but can cancel if you find a new job? Usually the company has the option to decide if to make it as a one lump sum payment, or to pay over time. Usually though, when I get involved, we negotiate this to be a one-time payment. The company does have the ability to choose, but in most cases we negotiate a one payment so that even if you find a job, it doesn't get impacted. That's another reason why it's so important to get us involved if you lose your job, because it's not just how much severance, it's also what's included in it and how it's actually paid out. So all those things have to be considered if you lose your job and when we're negotiating severance. So very good question, and that's why you really want to contact us. Sir, again, you're asking questions that you should be asking us. You should ask your lawyer that. You're asking, if the other party doesn't respond to the demand letter, does it automatically go to court? Is that more expensive than MedArb or again, we need to talk about this, about your matter. You need to call us. We need to speak about it. MedArb is something completely different. It has nothing to do with anything. So you're trying to figure out answers to something that is not your thing to figure out. Okay? Again, use my doctor analogy. You're trying to figure out yourself what is the treatment that you need and what happens if the treatment doesn't go well. When if you have a lawyer, they'll tell you, here's the treatment that you need in your case, and here's what happens if it doesn't go well. So again, let's make sure we do this properly. And to try to do this on your own, or to try to figure this on your own makes no sense. So hopefully that explains it. To connect with me, easy to do, employmentlawyer.ca. All right, next question comes from Everly. If I work for a college as a partial load employee on 15-week contracts since 2017, the college is talking about, okay, I understand, suspending or canceling the program I teach, would I be entitled to severance pay? So if you've been working for 7 years, since 2017, on a series of contracts, 15 weeks, the law considers you to be now a regular indefinite employee. And that's what happens when you work on a bunch of contracts. After they roll over a bunch of times, the law says, forget about it. You're not really on a contract anymore. You're just a regular indefinite employee. What does that mean? That means that if you're let go, you're now owed severance because you're a regular employee. So after 7 years, again, depending on the type of job exactly that you were doing and your age, you could be owed 8, 9, even 12 months of severance. So that's why it's so important to remember and understand the law, and don't make assumptions, right? Because so many people would assume, well, I'm on a contract, the contract ends, they don't have to renew. And that's not true if there's already been a bunch of contracts. Otherwise, everyone would just, every employer would just hire you in a contract at the end of the year, a new contract, and then they could just let you go whenever they want and not pay you severance. It doesn't work that way. If there's a bunch of contracts that you've signed over time, after a few of them, let's say 3 or so or more, you become a regular indefinite employee. That means if you're ever let go, you are owed severance, your full severance. So let's see, continuing to answer questions. Let's see if we get a couple more answered. Terrence asks, does your boss have to give you a reason for termination? And if you can tell it's a lie, does that mean you get more severance? So the answer is no. Your boss doesn't have to actually give you a reason as to why you were let go. And believe it or not, if they do give you a reason, there's no legal obligation that they tell you the truth. Now, believe me, from a moral and an ethical standpoint, they should tell you and be honest and truthful. But from a legal standpoint, they don't have to. An employer can tell you, we let you go for restructuring, but they're not. Or we're cutting costs, but they're really increasing costs. Or they can give you no reason. Or they can tell you, we let you go because you drive a red car and we want people with blue cars. That's silly, but an employer can do that. Generally speaking, your employer can let you go pretty much for any reason as long as they pay you proper severance. And them not giving you a reason does not mean you get more severance. But here's something to remember, Terrence. Whatever they've offered you in severance, it's probably a lot less than what the law says you should have. That's why you call me. That's why you called my team, so we can get you what you are owed. Okay? Obviously, I've given that information, but I'll give it to you again. Employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. By the way, if you just joined us now at the end, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer. What I've been doing for the last 26 minutes or so is answering questions live about employment law. I always enjoy doing that. Another question came in. I'm going to answer it right now. But if you don't get to answer your question answered today, easy to connect with me through employmentlawyer.ca. Our next question from YouTube comes from Mailman. Does the statute of limitation apply to wages owed? I'm a salary employee who is still employed. Yes, it is absolutely still, the statute of limitation does apply. In most cases, that's 2 years. But if you're owed money, I wouldn't wait 2 years. I wouldn't even wait 2 months. I mean, it's your money that you've earned, right? So oftentimes when it comes to that, a letter from me gets it resolved so quickly that your head can spin. Yes, the statute of limitations apply, but I would not wait. Okay, there's no point waiting if your employer doesn't pay you what they owe you. So, and just so you know, everyone, generally the statute of limitation is 2 years to pursue your rights, but never ever wait that long. Okay, there's no reason to. Employment disputes usually are easy to resolve. They're fast to resolve. You don't have to go to court 99% of the time. In 85% of the time, you don't even have to take legal action. We can simply engage your employer, and if we do this properly, we can resolve the matter. Last question just came in. I'm going to answer it from Carlos. I have a permanent illness. I've been working from home since 2 years ago. For medical reasons, there's a new ownership. Can they require me to go back to the office? Working from home didn't affect my responsibilities, and I have met my goals. Can they fire me? So your employer can always let you go as long as they pay you severance. But here's the thing, Carlos. If you have a medical reason still, if you're able to get a doctor's note saying that you need to work from home, even now, they can't do anything to you. It'll be illegal to let you go. In a different situation, if they ask you to come back to work, if you only went back to work from home for medical reasons, now those medical reasons have resolved, they can tell you to go back to work in the office. And if you refuse, then they won't have to pay you severance. But that's only if you went for medical reasons and now those medical reasons have resolved. If they have not resolved, if you're able to get a doctor's note, they can't do anything to you. Again, a human rights violation. Guys, that's the time that we have for today. Always such a pleasure to be here to answer questions, to learn about you and the situations that you're dealing with. If you did not get your question answered today, no problem. You can connect with me today if you want, right now, through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. I'll be back next week. Don't wait until then. Your legal rights cannot wait and shouldn't wait until then. You could be compromising your rights by waiting. So connect with me through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin. Thank you so much for all the great questions today. I really enjoyed doing this. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks a lot, guys.